Iron smell had settled in the air as dust to old furniture, and Jack could lounge no longer. Now quite satisfied with the cleanliness of his tools, he left the basement behind.
If that double murder was Bradley's handiwork, then it's possible he's on his way to the mansion. Am I going to make it in time? What if I'm too late to save her? Then I'd perhaps have to make him know her fear and horror. I don't fancy the thought, but he is right. We're the sign. We take lives as we continue to survive. But I shall send him to hell, even if I must go with him.
Dang, he's going after him. He's gonna get Bradley and try and save his girl. Or avenge her at the very least. Jack's resolve strengthened in the event the worst would come to pass. He closed the door leading to the outside behind him. Into the night he went. Much like when he entered at dawn, police officers roamed the streets with vigilance, turning every corner they spotted and inspecting every crate in hopes for clues.
Damn, look at them all.
Emily's handkerchief provided Jack a certain degree of refreshment in the moment, and so he kept it close to his person. Like many nights before, the fog swept through the East End, hanging thick, high, and low in equal parts. Thank goodness for that fog.
The fog is perfectly heavy now. I ask you, stay heavy for me. Keep me from them just a bit longer is all I ask. I need to catch up with them before it lifts.
Or so he hoped, but the hope lifted more swiftly than the fog as he caught sight of a silhouette on horseback. Watson?
What is he doing here?
Whilst he could not see this fellow's face, his build, tall and slim, brought to mind someone he knew quite well. Someone he did not want to fight. This is where this picture is from? I'm shook.
Jack! I knew I'd find you here!
Watson glared down from atop his steed.
Would you kindly fill me in on precisely what you're doing here? Don't believe I'm obligated to, so I'll kindly not. Now if it's all the same to you, I'm in a hurry. And if it pleases you to stand in my way, then I will move you. I knew this was what it would come to, really. And you won't move me. Not without a fight. You lied to us, Jack. Whatever happened to taking the remainder of the year off for illness? What possessed you to share secrets so dangerous that it would irreversibly shift the course of her life for the worse? If the laws and secrets bother you, why not confront her about them directly? Are you mad? I'd never do such a thing. Do I look like the sort of man who would pry secrets from a young lady when she clearly would prefer not to discuss them? So you do possess some manner of tact. You'd best take a healthy look in the mirror before lecturing me on tact.
Watson dismounted, the better to confront Jack, who was prepared for confrontation. Why have you ridden out all vigilante style on Jack's butt, Watson? Why?
I say you'll do just as you like to stop me, regardless of whether it's wise. Don't come crying to me when you get hurt. Huh. Then give it your best shot. Shoot it.
Jack made the first swing upwards with his claws.
No.
Watson was a reflexive man, for he evaded the attack by a hair's breadth. He cried out, a heightened tension in his tone.
There's something I need to know, and I need to hear it from you. You weren't the one responsible for last night's double murder, were you? I wasn't. And the boy who was is a great deal more terrifying than you've ever known. And as we dally here quarreling for no bloomin' reason than your bloomin' preference, that boy makes his way to Emily. Once he sets his sights on a victim, he won't stop till they've been spoiled. Can this not wait? I need to keep her from that monster.
This duel of sorts continued despite verbal objections, with Watson soon being backed against a nearby wall. Jack played a game of exposing weaknesses, targeting Watson's blind spot till he was left without means to escape. Jack predicted no less than victory, with no mistakes. Upon his last strike, however, Watson managed to escape, grabbing hold of Jack's wrist.
Good.
This hadn't happened before. Creases of panic were briefly set in his face.
You're going to protect her. And I'm meant to believe you. Stop.
Watson's grip only grew tighter, till he soon began to twist Jack's arm upwards.
No. You certainly don't seem to have the strength you had during our last encounter. Are you that distracted? Damn it! This is a dead end too. No.
A rapid pain struck Watson's leg, causing him to release his grip.
He's gone? Where?
Watson surveyed his surroundings, but there was only fog to keep him company. Yet he retained his focus well.
But he's sure to show himself again at the Whiteley Mansion.
He raced to his horse and mounted her again, snapping the reins to set a proper course.
I won't let him get away next time. I will find out the truth.
Oh, Watson, you couldn't have picked a worse time for this. Thunder rumbled in the heavens. The clouds were dark, dancing to a blustering wind, swirling with a striking ferocity about the Whiteley Mansion.
My lady, we need to leave straight away.
But where will we hide? How are we going to leave the mansion without detection?
Never fear. Your father prepared well for the possibility that something like this would happen.
Did he?
Indeed. He was a man of supreme justice, and thus he attracted a fair number of enemies to his name. This led to the creation of an underground route in the event of an emergency. It leads from the mansion directly to the city's suburbs.
I feel like this is something we would have made use of during her parents' initial murder, no? Why is she... Did we really just leave at the front door the first time? Because this seems extremely useful.
I'd intended to make use of it to save her, but before she could flee.
Her? Mother? That is the first I've heard of this. Is it Mother?
I will speak of it in detail for you another time, for the memory is not a pleasant one for me, nor is the situation as it stands now. I had rather hoped we would never be forced to make use of it. I have tasked Alicia with gathering your things. In the meantime, we're to flee.
Why not wait for a short while longer? I've yet to tell Holmes and Watson where we'll be going.
No. You mustn't tell anyone. We don't know who means you harm.
Pendleton, you can't be suggesting that Holmes and Watson do.
I was merely illustrating a point. No one in London is to know where you're going, and there will be no exceptions.
At least until Jack the Ripper is caught?
Correct.
I nodded. This was a day I could scarcely fathom. Me. Flee the mansion. Even in the present, the thought provided an otherworldly sense. We've been reduced with so few alternatives that we shall have to do as you said, Jack. Perhaps I'll never see you again, nor our friends. It was the price I was to pay to keep the Whiteley name alive.
We ought to relieve the servants of their duties for a time as well.
I agree. It pains me to turn them away now, but what other choice do we have? To leave them to their work wasn't possible. What if the Ripper were to use them? Hurt them? We'll pray to your health, my lady, as well as a swift return. Thank you, Alicia. As soon as the murders stop, I will come straight home. I'll need each of you to take care. Please, stay safe for me. Certainly. And when you're home, we'll bake you some of those delicious custard tarts you love. Wonderful. I can taste them already. Alicia was always so genuine and filled with warmth, as were her words. Why is this giving me major death flags? Everyone here was. This was my home. I loved it dearly, and now it was time to leave it behind. The more I thought of it, the more the loneliness swept through me.
Everything will be all right. The Holmeses are on the case, and they certainly won't fail in solving it.
Yes, absolutely. Shall we be off, Pendleton? Using a key he already possessed, Pendleton opened a heavy door that led from the storehouse to farther beneath ground. I wondered, when did that key last serve its purpose? And yet it mattered not. Upon the creak of the door opening, we stepped inside and began our escape. Oh boy, here is Bradley.
Serves you right, saucy Jack. Surprised you killed sweet Daddy Morin without sobbing your brain out. But now you got no place to call home, and you only got yourself to blame.
Bradley lightly rapped upon the door before him. It's Professor Moriarty! He's back!
Who is it?
Just me, Bradley.
I see. Come in.
A heavy voice laced with an ill temper responded. The professor was commonly in such moods, so they meant little to Bradley. He entered the room as instructed, and an equally foul gaze pierced him. That of Professor Moriarty, a man eternally confined to his wheelchair.
Hello, Professor Moriarty.
What do you want? Out with it! I am a busy man.
The Colonel's been murdered, sir.
So he has. I heard as much a moment ago.
Should have known as much, really. Then do you know who's responsible?
Jack, most likely. For certain, rather.
Well, so you do. Ain't a final example of a dirty dog taking a nibble at its master. Stupid master, too, that Colonel Morin. Shan't think he was ever very good at doling out discipline.
Bradley let out a low, languorous chuckle.
You would regard your superior so disrespectfully, Bradley.
Superior? That's a fine joke. Superior. He was older, but upon me word, he weren't worthy of no respect. Just a sorry fool to his sorrier end. When you needed a stone-cold heart, he would take emotion over reason. Simple is what he was, and I don't begrudge Jack for using that to kill him.
He took Jack in and raised him as his own. I doubt he left this world with regrets.
But he regrets going to the effort of giving him a false name and sending him to school. Whilst I did me job proper, he honestly thought Jack superior. A traitor! And he still ain't off the tot who saw him killing neither.
You proudly continue to spout ignorance, I see. Now, who will be the one to remedy this mess?
The professor pondered with such concentration that Bradley could have retired right then, and his churning mind would have been none the wiser. Bradley, however, took this as a moment to behave as a savior.
You don't got no reason to worry, Professor. I reckon I'll do her in for you, and then I'll do an old saucy Jack, too. I'm feeling quite nicely for the Colonel and Jack both, so...
He was interrupted, quite alarmingly even for him, by the professor banging his fist at his table.
Be quiet, Bradley. I'm trying to think.
I'm sorry. I'll shut me jaw now.
Get out! Morin's death has left a great void in this organization. And you flatter yourself thinking that you and you alone could fill that void. I shall speak candidly. You could not. Now, before you make me angrier, get out. Go and do your job. Drown in your drugs for all I care. Just work, you fool!
Professor, I'm so...
Bradley's bravado was lost. Meek apologies fell short upon a glare wreathed in repugnance.
Out.
Yes, sir.
Apologies would never be enough as it were. With a faint heart, Bradley exited the room, fumbling and stumbling gracelessly before the door. Nothing could calm them. He was now alone, but the dread of having committed wrong persisted. All he could do was stare at the door. Man, we even get inner Bradley thoughts? This route is crazy.
Does he sincerely mourn the Colonel's death? Ain't I a better choice over that bungler? What's so good about him? Got all the love in the world for obedient lackeys he can use. Got none to spare for the rest. But he used to pay me mind and compliments. Said I was the clever one. Was it all a lie? No, he ain't a liar. And I'll prove him right. I swear it. I'll do everything he needs in the Colonel's place. Be the Colonel, slice up Jack, and then be Jack. Whoever needs a ripping, I shall be round to do it. I'm the only killer the organization needs. I don't need others who might think it a loft to try and kill me.
He was confident he could be tasked with this. So sorely confident that it may perhaps be said the professor's discouragement only enlarged his ego twofold. From his boyhood perspective, this was a great part of his blossoming plan.
Why am I so bloody frozen? I feel ill.
A sense of restlessness came to him in a sudden fit to his hands, shakes, and a burst of cold that besieged him skin and bone. As it grew in intensity, it struck him that the temperature surrounding him had not dropped.
God, damn it all. It's worn off already. I knew it weren't gonna last long. This elixir's just cheap shit for a swift eye. I'll need something that'll last me. I'm gonna butcher Emily Whiteley. See a shriek from agony and make it last. Oh yes, I'll learn her and Jack the real meaning of fear.
As no one was around to hear his thoughts, Bradley whispered his desires jovially to the accompanying nothingness. Just needs a new hit.
I've got a horrible feeling. You killed 2 people as it stands. Do you need to kill a 3rd, Bradley?
Okay, so that kind of confirms the double murder was Bradley. The other, regular prostitute murders is the other Jack the Ripper that we're more familiar with. And then our Jack, who has got the organization title Jack the Ripper, only kills people for the organization and then disposes of the body immediately. So he's never reported on. I think I've got it straight. Jack floated from rooftop to rooftop with regular adroitness. By Jack's luck, the fog covered much of the scenery below and above him, the ideal condition for allowing him to move undetected.
The patrols outside the East End are full of wolves.
He was correct. Within, patrols were as close to ideal as could be desired from the police. Without, it was vastly inadequate. Barely any time had passed since he infiltrated the Whiteley mansion, but that had starkly little effect on security.
What state have they come to? They cannot manage to guard a mansion under attack.
Jack surveyed his surroundings. The city as it looked now, with clouds lining main streets and darkness obscuring alleyways, granted itself the appearance of a criminal's paradise.
Emily, I beg you, flee somewhere safe.
Whatever feelings he may have had upon studying it, that paradise was his to bask in by virtue of his birth. Society had no plans for a blemish such as he, no greater destiny, nor the mildest hope of a new beginning. It made her handkerchief, elegant down to her name embroidered in gold thread, appear all the more out of place when in his possession. The moon gave only just enough light to grant her name a lovely shimmer. But he could not admire it for long. Something nearby gave him pause.
It's someone in the same business as me. Where are they? The fog is working against me better judgment.
Jack sharpened his senses and continued to survey the area. The fog did not run amok pure in color, but was amply tainted with a menacing black hue that dried Jack's eyes and brought a soreness to his lung. his lungs. His every breath, however subtle, tasted of bitter coal. This he suspected would leave him feeling ill were he to breathe it in for too long.
They must be using the fog to their favor like I am. They won't make this task a simple one. Could it be Bradley?
A terrifying possibility struck Jack. Too terrifying to dwell on, and so he just as hastily dismissed it.
No. Suppose that would be agreeable to me for now. So long as I make it in time. No.
At that moment, the silver flicker of a knife from behind caught his attention. Jack shifted to the side in an instant, but only for the sake of avoiding this preemptive attack. He had yet to discern who his assailant was or how close they were. Smog impaired more than vision. It dulled hearing, deceived smell, and petrified the heart, leaving one with the harrowing sense of being alone. Jack preyed upon this paranoia countless times in the past, but this was the first time someone had used it to prey upon him.
Damn! Are they that close?
Jack raised his claws to prepare for the confrontation as best he could against an unseeable assailant. But it was for naught. No sooner had he guarded himself did a knife arc through the air towards his side.
No!
Jack dodged the attack a second time, but he still could not discover the whereabouts of his attacker.
A nasty fight, this. But there's only one person I know who can pull a fast one on me. Bradley!
Squinting his eyes for a keener focus, he finally spotted a faint shadow hiding behind something equally indistinct.
There he is. When should I strike? Now. Or rather not. It's certain to be a trap. Just thinks he can taunt me.
Jack did not have the stamina to keep on the defense. That and his disadvantages were growing. Traveling via rooftop had exposed him to air too brisk for a man to mind for long, and the night's misty texture had long since dampened his clothing, making the cold all the more noticeable.
This ain't good. I better just strike and do nothing and lose.
Jack thrust forwards, taking a swing with his weapons. Yet it hit nothing. The only thing he cut through was air.
You can't hide. Stop cowering in the shadows and show yourself. I know who you are. A boy who sure as is drugs. Come out, Bradley!
Jack made to ridicule the boy out of the shadows, but for a brief time there was nary a response.
You're the coward, Jack. Don't make me laugh.
Oh, new CG.
Bah, knew it was you. What brings you here?
What?
You know full well what. I'm tripsing through here on my way to finish the job you ain't follow through on. I'm gonna rip my Emily Whiteley to pieces. That's what.
I gotta see this. Woo! Look at the intensity on Jack with that blood moon. Whilst giggling softly in a low voice, Bradley stumbled backwards.
Is he not watching where he's stepping? He wobbles like a child. The elixir, perhaps.
Were he to take one wrong step, he would tumble from the roof, and that would be the end of him.
Well, that should do me all right. I'd prefer he off himself and save me work.
Bradley danced between buildings without a care, frolicked in a situation widespread with danger like a drunken boy who knew no fear, behaved giddily and menacingly in unison, all the while daring Jack to do the same.
Oh, saucy Jack. What's wrong? Afraid? I'm right here.
Jack would step forwards and Bradley would hop back.
Crafty little thing. Can't catch him like this, but I can't afford to lose sight of him.
Jack narrowed the distance between them in one motion, aiming for Bradley's heart with his next strike. It was not the wisest choice he could make. A severe pain seized Jack by the leg, holding him in place. This was the only indication that Bradley had met success. There was no scream, nor even the tiniest grunt. Nothing. This iron will could be attributed to the Colonel's persistent instruction over many, many years. Each lesson was more strict than the last, but they were necessary. As an assassin, Jack was bred from his childhood to make no noise in order to evade, to kill, and to survive. Bradley knew this well. It made the tightening of Jack's throat as he suppressed the urge to cry out all the more satisfying.
It's alright. Just cut the tendon in your leg a bit. It'll be a bitch to walk, but at least there won't be much blood. You...
Jack, despite his injury, raised his voice to establish himself the predator, but it had only taken the one attack to sap him of his strength. The boy's smile broadened.
It's all over, Jack. You signed your life away, pawn doing in the Colonel. But you got me in your corner. I shall admit I didn't fancy the man, you know, but I never had a big enough cock to kill him. Bye-bye, traitor.
Bradley thrust a kick into Jack's waist. The force was devastating when coupled with the pain. Disturbed overmuch, he lost his footing and tumbled from the rooftop.
Gah! No!
It was to be the end for him, certainly. Oh my goodness, who could it be? I don't know.
Now see here! This isn't the Jack I know!
Yay, it's Watson! Woo! I knew you couldn't have just shown up for that one little bout for no good reason.
What?
Jack was stunned. A tall, broad-shouldered individual had come to his rescue, not only saving his skin from the fall, but courageously walling himself between him and Bradley. It was the one to whom he recently made his escape, Watson.
I thought you were a stronger man than this. Perk up, Jack! You thick. What are you doing? Run! And save Emily! You're the one who's thick. He's the one who means to hurt her, right? Then I wouldn't dare turn my back on him. Even if not for her, what would happen to you? But... we've made ourselves disagreeable on occasion, but you're risking your life to protect her. You're a good friend! And if we don't stop him now, who's to say that Emily will ever be safe?
I never thought I'd see a Watson-Jack team-up, but I'm here for it.
Then you'd like to fight together? What a bloomin' fool. Come on, then! With both of us going at him, we might manage! Might. But I should warn you that my leg's not gonna last long. Oh, this sure is an affectionate sight. I says to myself, I says it often. A good-for-nothing like Jack can't get on with no one. But I seen you now got some dear friends from school. Dear friends, and a pretty gal, too. You're now a jolly good schoolboy, ain't you? What business is it of yours? You should sooner concern yourself with me paying you back for my leg. I welcome it, schoolboy. Could complying that 2-on-1 is unfair, but you've gone and turned fresh on me, so I'll let you have it. Hurry! Hurt me all you like.
After declaring as much, he jumped to another rooftop at the opposite side of the street.
Wait! The hell? Where is he going? I don't know, but it might well be a trap. The main street is part of the yard's patrol route. If we play our cards right, it's possible we can work as one, too. Beg pardon, but me and the police ain't on the best of terms. The only one I shall be relying on is myself. You're hurt. This isn't the time to be stubborn. Nor is there any harm in relying on others once in a blue moon, you know. Bother your lectures. Don't need it from a chap too weak to be of help to me. Would rather you just don't get in me way. He would narrow the gap between you two in an instant to gut you. Use your blind spots against you to turn you cripple, and take you out upon the first opening he sees. Then I'll be sure to keep your blind spots in my field of vision. You'll be doing the same for me, naturally. It's not going to be as simple as you're putting it now. I know, and I like it that way.
They were well aware that Bradley was using the night shadows, even darker when cast against the moon and obscured by smog to aid his position. They were too, but he was Bradley. They could not afford any slack.
I know where you two are.
His voice rang disembodied. It was not long before he made himself known as a flash cut through the air next to Watson.
Watch it! Huh?
A second flash flickered behind Jack. It was tinted with blood upon its edge.
Can't be.
Jack spun round to see the back of a clouded silhouette cautiously attending to their surroundings.
There you are. You let your guard down.
He dashed forwards to strike the silhouette.
Jack, stop! That's not him!
Ah!
Ugh.
It was not Bradley who nearly fell victim, but an innocent patrolman.
Oh, did he throw us off his scent deliberately?
Whatever Bradley's intent, the officer received no harm. Watson hastily stepped forwards in the man's defense, bearing the brunt of a light injury for his gallantry. Oh, Watson, so brave.
Watson, I didn't mean to hurt you. Think nothing of it. Your legs a fair bit worse than this kitten scratch. Take a deep breath now. That's it. There we are. Right. Sorry.
You're Jack the Ripper! Don't move!
Stop! You had the wrong man! He's a... I can't let Bradley escape!
Jack darted his eyes in every direction in hopes of catching anything amiss, but there was nothing. Bradley had long since left the scene. And whilst the real Ripper was gone, more officers had piled into the streets in his place.
No. Damn it.
Are you alright?
It looks worse than it feels, I assure you. But listen closely. He isn't Jack the Ripper. The true culprit is making his way to his next victim as we speak. Jack was only trying to stop him.
But he attacked you. Look at your injury. Why would you defend him?
That was a misunderstanding. He's my friend. And we've proven that he has an alibi. You can't still doubt him.
I fear we've more than enough reason to suspect Jack Miller's of wrongdoing. We can't prove beyond doubt that the Ripper murders have been the work of a single perpetrator.
Enough nonsense! Don't you trust me, Inspector?
I understand well your desire to protect him. For now, we should discuss this matter further at the station.
Inspector, all I want to do is protect Emily. If it'd please you to arrest me here, so long as you swore to keep her safe in return, I wouldn't mind it. London's police defend the people round the clock with their lives, and for that, I do not overstate my position when I say they shall always receive me unwavering respect. But he is no ordinary criminal. You can't time a boy like him. He's a monster produced by the East End, and only monsters know how to quell fellow monsters. The Ripper is on his way to kill Emily Whiteley, and I need to stop him.
Jack, whose injury had become as such that he preferred not to stand whilst in security, finally did stand.
Jack! Wait! I'm coming with you.
Watson stood shortly after, placing great pressure on the wound which first caused him to kneel.
That's enough. You ought to be prioritizing your injury first and foremost. As for you, if you won't allow us to escort you willingly, then we will have to do so by force.
All in unison, the surrounding officers pointed their guns at Jack.
Don't move!
Just lovely. I suppose now's as good a time as any.
Watson placed 2 fingers to his lips and gave a sharp whistle. It took no time for his call to produce results. Yay, the horse!
Ah!
Watson's horse, Platinum Rain, barged onto the scene. She neighed uproariously and raised her front legs in the air in a violent show of dominance over the officers, who in turn scrambled to avoid being stomped upon.
Good girl! This way!
The horse responded to his instruction just as quickly as she had the first time, allowing him to hop on her back and prepare for his escape.
Jack! You're accompanying me, aren't you? To protect Emily. I am.
Watson extended his hand and Jack accepted it. Within seconds, both were securely on horseback. This is so awesome.
My apologies, Inspector. I know you'll let me have it later, and that's all right by me. Just a bit short on time for the present.
Watson had to shout over the commotion, but he wished to remain sincere towards the inspector, even if he was disobeying him. He was absolutely certain the inspector would be eager to share all manner of colorful oaths later, however.
Wait! Do you think you'll get away with this?
Inspector Lestrade, I'll accept any punishment you deem fit for me. I just need a bit more time. Please.
Watson directed the horse towards the south and readied their retreat.
Men, put your guns down. We're to make chase. Contact the guards of the Whiteley Mansion straight away. Yes, sir.
To be continued. Oh boy.